Explosive eruption of the Canlaon volcano prompts emergency evacuations from villages on the Philippine island of Negros.
At least 19 people are dead and more than 100 injured after an earthquake in the southern Philippines.
The Philippines is facing a new fear after one of the most powerful earthquakes to strike the country in decades. A deadly 7.8 magnitude quake ripped through the southern Philippines, collapsing buildings, triggering landslides, damaging homes, sending people running into the streets and forcing coastal communities to watch for tsunami waves. At least 37 people are dead, hundreds are injured, thousands have been displaced, more than 2,500 homes have been damaged. And now, after the deadly shaking, another threat is being watched closely: volcanoes. The Philippines sits directly on the Pacific Ring of Fire, one of the most dangerous seismic and volcanic zones on Earth. This is a country where earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, landslides, and typhoons are not rare events. They are part of the land itself. So when a 7.8 earthquake strikes near Mindanao, the fear does not end when the ground stops shaking. The fear becomes bigger. Could the quake disturb nearby fault systems? Could aftershocks keep damaging already weakened buildings? Could volcanic areas become more unstable? Could the country face another disaster before it has even recovered from the first one? To be clear, officials have not confirmed that a volcano is erupting because of this earthquake. But in a country with more than 20 active volcanoes, every major earthquake raises a serious question. What else has been disturbed underground? The quake struck off the coast of southern Mindanao near Sarangani province, close to General Santos City. The shaking was violent enough to bring down low-rise buildings, damage schools, close an airport, knock out power, disrupt water supply, and send people into panic. In General Santos, rescuers searched through collapsed structures. In Glan, Sarangani, a landslide killed multiple people. In schools, students were caught in fear as the earthquake hit during the first day of classes. Along the coast, people were warned to move away from the water after tsunami alerts were issued. And across the region, the ground did not stop moving. Aftershocks continued. Some were strong enough to create new fear in communities already shaken by the main quake. That is why the situation is still dangerous. Because after a major earthquake, the first disaster is only the beginning. Damaged buildings may still collapse, roads may crack further, slopes may fail, coastal areas may remain nervous, and underground systems may keep adjusting for days or even weeks. For the Philippines, this is especially frightening because the country is built on active ground. The Philippine Islands sit where tectonic plates collide, push, slide, and dive beneath one another. That movement creates earthquakes. It also feeds volcanoes. This is why the country has some of the world's most famous and dangerous volcanoes: Mayon, Taal, Canlaon, Pinatubo, Bulusan, and many more. Some are quiet for years. Some produce steam, gas, ash, or sudden explosions. Some sit close to towns, farms, cities, roads, and millions of people. That is why the phrase volcano threat matters. It does not mean lava is already pouring into the streets. It means the Philippines is now dealing with a deadly earthquake while living inside one of the world's most active volcanic belts. And after a quake this powerful, monitoring becomes urgent. Scientists watch for several warning signs. They watch earthquake swarms near volcanoes. They watch ground swelling. They watch gas emissions. They watch steam activity. They watch crater temperature. They watch changes in water chemistry. They watch cracks, landslides, and unusual shaking patterns. A single big earthquake does not automatically trigger a volcanic eruption, but earthquakes can change stress underground. They can open cracks. They can disturb geothermal systems. They can shake slopes loose. They can damage monitoring equipment. They can also create fear around already restless volcanoes. That is why authorities take this seriously. Because in the Philippines, disasters can stack on top of each other. First comes the earthquake, then the aftershocks, then the landslides, then the tsunami warning, then the damaged buildings, then the question everyone fears: what if a volcano becomes active too? This is not an impossible fear. The Philippines has seen volcano disasters before. In 1991, Mount Pinatubo produced one of the largest eruptions of the 20th century. Ash buried communities, roofs collapsed, skies darkened, and thousands had to evacuate. It became a warning to the world that Philippine volcanoes can remain quiet for years, then suddenly become a national emergency. Taal volcano has also shown how dangerous a smaller-looking volcano can be. Its 2020 eruption sent ash into the sky, shut down flights, covered towns, and forced mass evacuations near one of the country's most populated regions. Canlaon has also been under close monitoring in recent years. with explosive activity and ash emissions reminding communities that a volcano does not need to be huge to become dangerous. So after a 7.8 earthquake, people have reason to be nervous. They know the ground is active. They know the volcanoes are active. They know the sea can move. They know the slopes can collapse. And now many families are not only asking whether their homes are safe, they are asking what happens next for people in Mindanao. The danger is immediate and personal. Some families lost homes. Some lost loved ones. Some are sleeping outside because they are afraid to re-enter damaged buildings. Some are staying in evacuation centers. Some are waiting for news from rescue teams. Some are dealing with no power, damaged roads, or broken water supply. And in the middle of all this, aftershocks continue to remind everyone that the ground is not finished moving. That fear is hard to describe unless you have lived through an earthquake. The first shake is terrifying, but the aftershocks break your sense of safety. Every vibration feels like another disaster. Every sound makes people look up. Every crack in the wall becomes a warning. Parents keep children close. Hospitals move patients to safer spaces. Schools close while buildings are inspected. Rescue teams move carefully because one wrong aftershock can turn rubble into a deadly trap. And now, because the Philippines is a volcanic country, the nation must watch more than one danger at once. This is where the Ring of Fire becomes more than a phrase. It is not just a line on a map. It is the reason the Philippines has earthquakes. It is the reason the Philippines has volcanoes. It is the reason tsunami alerts can follow offshore quakes. It is the reason disaster planning in the country must always prepare for multiple threats at the same time. The 7.8 Quake was centered offshore along a dangerous tectonic setting. That means the main quake came from plate movement, not from a volcano eruption. But the same tectonic environment is what makes the whole country so hazardous. The plates move. The faults rupture, the volcanoes breathe, the ocean responds, and people are caught in between. This is why scientists and disaster agencies keep monitoring. They are not only looking at what already happened. They are looking for what could happen next. If volcanic unrest increases after a quake, the warning signs may start small. A rise in volcanic earthquakes, more steam from a crater, higher sulfur dioxide emissions, ground swelling near a volcano. Ash bursts, changes in hot springs, new cracks or unusual landslides on volcanic slopes. Each sign alone may not mean eruption, but together they can tell scientists that pressure is building. That is why the next few days matter. Not because a massive eruption is guaranteed, but because the Philippines is already under stress. Rescue teams are busy, hospitals are treating hundreds, roads and airports are disrupted, homes and schools need inspection. Thousands of families need shelter. If another natural hazard appears now, even a smaller one, the impact could be much worse because the region is already weakened. That is how disasters become cascading disasters. One event breaks the system. The next event hits before recovery begins. A quake damages buildings, rain triggers landslides, aftershocks collapse weakened walls. A tsunami warning forces coastal evacuations, a volcano shows unrest, emergency teams are stretched thin. That is the nightmare scenario officials must prevent. For now, the confirmed disaster is the earthquake. The confirmed damage is deadly enough. At least 37 people killed, hundreds injured, tens of thousands displaced, homes damaged. Government buildings damaged, school buildings needing inspection, an airport closed, power and water disrupted, landslides reported, tsunami warnings issued and later lifted, and aftershocks continuing across the region. But the volcano threat remains part of the larger fear because the Philippines cannot separate earthquakes from its volcanic reality. This is a country where the ground, the mountains, and the sea are connected by the same dangerous forces. And for people watching from outside, the danger may seem far away. But for families in Mindanao, it is happening now. They are not watching a disaster documentary. They are living inside the aftermath. They are deciding whether a wall is safe. They are checking on relatives. They are waiting for power. They are trying to sleep while the ground keeps shaking. They are listening for warnings. They are wondering if the sea is safe. They are wondering if the mountains are safe. And they are asking the same question again and again. Is it over? The honest answer is difficult. The main quake is over. The tsunami warning has been lifted. But the emergency is not over. The aftershocks are not over. The inspections are not over. The rescue work is not over. The rebuilding has not even begun. And the monitoring of volcanoes, slopes, faults, and coastal zones must continue. Because after a quake this powerful, the country cannot afford to look away. The Philippines has survived disasters before. It has rebuilt after earthquakes, eruptions, typhoons, and floods, but every new disaster tests the country again. This time, the test came from below the sea. A 7.8 earthquake struck near Mindanao. Buildings collapsed, landslides killed, tsunami alerts spread, aftershocks followed. And now the country must watch its volcanoes, its mountains, its coastlines, and its damaged cities with the same question in mind. What comes next? The Philippines is not facing a confirmed volcanic eruption right now, that must be said clearly. But it is facing something almost as frightening for the people living through it. A volcanic threat environment, a country full of active volcanoes. A deadly 7.8 earthquake, ongoing aftershocks, cracked roads, damaged buildings, weakened slopes, displaced families, coastal towns still remembering the tsunami warning, and a ring of fire system that never truly sleeps. That is what makes this moment so dangerous. Because in the Philippines, disasters do not always arrive alone. A major earthquake can be followed by aftershocks. Aftershocks can bring down buildings already cracked by the first hit. Heavy rain can turn shaken slopes into landslides. Damaged roads can slow down rescue teams. Broken power and water systems can make recovery harder. And if volcanic activity begins to change, even slightly, fear spreads faster than official updates can comment. That is the nightmare after a quake this powerful, not just what has already collapsed, but what may have been weakened, shifted, or disturbed underground. For families in Mindanao, the danger is no longer just a headline. It is the wall they are afraid to sleep beside, the hill behind their village, the road that may crack again, the school building waiting for inspection. The aftershock that may come in the middle of the night. The volcano in the distance that has always been part of life but now feels different, and this is why officials cannot afford silence. People need clear warnings. They need fast inspections. They need honest updates. They need safe evacuation routes. They need to know which buildings are safe, which slopes are unstable, which coastal areas remain risky, and which volcanoes are being watched. Because after a disaster, panic grows in empty spaces. When people do not know what is happening, rumors fill the gap. And in a country with a long history of earthquakes and eruptions, every rumor can feel possible. That is what makes the next few days so important. The quake may be over, but the emergency is still unfolding. Rescue teams are still searching, families are still displaced. Aftershocks are still possible, buildings still need checking, landslide zones still need watching. And volcanic systems across the region still need monitoring. The disaster may have started with one violent quake, but in the Philippines, one disaster can wake up many fears at once. The ground, the sea, the mountains, the volcanoes. All of them are connected by the same restless forces beneath the islands. And until the ground becomes quiet, the slopes hold firm, the buildings are cleared, and the volcanoes remain stable. Millions of people will keep watching the land beneath them, because after a deadly 7.8 quake, the question is no longer only what collapsed. The question is what has changed, what is still moving, what is still unstable, and what might wake up next.